Sarah became blind 3 months ago. A fall from her horse had left her blind for the rest of her life. The doctor said the sight would never return. She had been shaken to her core, but she was still trying to keep a positive spirit. Her Aunt Sandy and Uncle George had taken her in at a quiet country house, believing that time away from the city might help her adjust. Here, surrounded by rolling fields and quiet lanes, Sarah was slowly learning to navigate the world again, step by step. One of the few bright spots in her new life was Steve, a kind, patient young man who worked with her uncle. He had taken it upon himself to help her regain her confidence, teaching her to ride again, and also encouraging her to face what had once terrified her: horse riding. This morning had been a good morning for Sarah. Sarah had gone riding with Steve. The smell of the stable, the rhythm of the horse galloping, the sound of Steve's laughter filling the open air. For a brief moment, she almost forgot that she lived in total darkness. When Steve dropped her off that afternoon, Sarah was thankful to Steve. When Sarah got home that day, she noticed that no one was at home. The house was completely silent, but she didn't think nothing of it. Her uncle might be out tending the field, her aunt could be in the kitchen, her cousin might be at her boyfriend. The house was silent and almost comforting for her. Sarah made herself tea, sat for a while, and even played the piano, her fingers tracing the keys from memory. She never noticed that the silence around her was too deep. Night fell. Sarah went to sleep. To her surprise, in the morning, the house was still quiet. Sarah is used to waking up with noises around the house, whether it'll be her aunt doing the breakfast in the kitchen, her cousin coming in to wake her up so they can get going for the day. The house was quiet again. Her cane tapping slowly against the floorboard, she moved through the house. Somewhere deep in the house, a floorboard creaked. "Betty?" she called. Her voice echoed down the hall. No answer. She smiled faintly to herself. Maybe they all gone into town early again. She could smell the faint aroma of last night's supper, now cold. The kitchen clock ticked like a metronome, far too loud in silence. She stepped into the kitchen and felt something wet under her feet. This sensation froze her. Carefully she crouched, reaching down with hesitant fingers. The liquid was thick, sticky, and it clung to her skin. She brought her hand closer to her face, and the smell hit her like a slap. It's blood. Sarah stumbled back, heart thundering, nearly losing her balance. As this was happening, somewhere upstairs, Sarah heard the faintest shift of weight whispered across the floorboard, then stopped. "Uncle George?" she called again. Her cane tapped across the floor, then struck something solid. A chair leg? No, it was softer. Her breath caught as she crouched again, her hands trembling, her fingers brushed against the shoe. She swallowed hard. Her fingers went higher. She felt cloth. Then she touched flesh. The flesh still warm but utterly still. Fingers now reaching the face. She moved it around, recognizing the face. It's Uncle George. She screamed, staggered backward, knocking over a kettle. It clattered to the floor with a deafening crush. The house went silent again. Too silent. Sarah held her breath. Somewhere down the hallway, something brushed lightly against the wall. The sound so soft she almost convinced herself she imagined it. She stumbled down the corridor, desperate to find someone responsive, someone who can say something back to her, someone who can look after her, someone who can have a conversation with her. Every step she took, she felt the hair shift behind her, as if someone were following, just out of reach. She found her aunt next, collapsed at the foot of the stairs. The smell of iron and something sharp in the hair made her gag. From upstairs came a fainty sound again, a slow, deliberate creak of a floorboard, then silence again. "Betty?" she cried. She followed the sound of a dripping tap into Betty's room. Her hand touched the edge of the bed, then something limp, hair trailing over the covers. Her cousin was lying over across the mattress, her arm dangling towards the floor. Sarah's breath came in ragged gasps. The room was spinning, though she couldn't see it. Then somewhere very far off, a floorboard creaked again. This time it wasn't upstairs. It was in the hallway. Sarah backed away from the bed, her whole body shaking. She couldn't stay in that room, couldn't stay in the house. Her cane tapped rapidly on the floor as she stumbled towards the back of the house, calling out again for anyone who might answer. When no one did, she found the kitchen door by touch, unlatched it with trembling fingers, and stepped outside. "Barker?" she called again, voice barely above a whisper now. That was when she heard it, a faint, wet, rattling breath coming from somewhere near the tool shed. She followed the sound, heart hammering, until she nearly tripped over a crumpled shape lying near the tool shed. Barker, the old gardener. His breathing was shallow, each inhale a struggle. "Barker?" she whispered, crouching beside him. His hand gripped her wrist with strength. "Listen." Sarah leaned close. He came back, asked for Sandy. I tried to stop him." Sarah felt him fumbling in his pocket. Then something cold and metallic was pressed into her hand. Bracelet. Dropped it. His name's on it. Don't let him. That was his last breath. His grip went slack. Sarah knelt there frozen, clutching the object as if it were the only solid thing in the world. Her fingers moved over its smooth surface, searching for meaning, for answers. It was a bracelet, heavy, expensive, with a smooth band and a sharp engraving. She traced the letters carefully, one by one. J-A-C-K. Jack. Our aunt's lover, the man the family disapproved of. The name struck her like a blow. The bracelet, now sticky with Barker's blood, suddenly felt like evidence. A message, a warning. Sarah's fear hardened into grim determination. She had to get help. Sarah gripped the bracelet so hard it dug into her palm. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. She needed help, now. She staggered back inside, heart racing, one hand running along the wall as she felt her way through the hallway. Her fingers brushed past pictures frames, a cut hook, the edge of a doorway. Finally, her hand closed around the smooth shape of the telephone table. The receiver was there, cold and reassuring. She snatched it up, pressed it to her ear. Silence, no dial tone, no static. Just a hollow emptiness that made her stomach twist. The line had been cut. Her fingers fumbled the receiver back into place, and just as she heard the crunch of a footstep outside on the gravel path, then another, slow, deliberate. Sarah's head snapped towards the sound. Every muscle locked into place. The footsteps stopped. She stood frozen, straining to listen. A faint scrape followed. Metal against metal. The gate? Or the door latch? Then a shadow moved across the thin crack under the door, just enough for Sarah to sense a presence on the other side. The doorknob rattled. Sarah clapped her hand over her mouth to stifle a gasp. Another rattle, slow this time, like someone testing how quietly they could turn it. Panic surged through her. Whoever was out there was trying to get in. Her mind screamed at her to hide, but her body moved on instinct, away from the door, down the hall. Stumbling as she went, she reached for the back door, but it was bolted from the top. Her fingers struggled with the latch, shaking so badly she could barely get it free. The doorknob at the front of the house turned hard. Once, twice, then stopped. Sarah yanked the bolt free, flung the back door open and felt the cold night air rush over her face. She didn't think, didn't look back. She ran barefoot into the dark, clutching the bracelet like a lifeline. Behind her, the front door groaned as it opened. Someone had gotten inside. Sarah didn't stop running. Sarah's leg felt like lead, but she forced herself forward, crashing through the underbrush until she burst out of the trees, then stumbled onto the main road. Her breath came in sobs, her chest aching. She kept running, guided by the sound of the distant traffic, until her feet hit gravel. Headlights blinded her through the darkness. A car screeched to a stop, and a man shouted. "Help me," she cried, waving her arm widely. "Please, they're all dead." "Who's dead?" as the man approached. "Everyone. Someone killed them all. Just drive away from here," she said. "Are you blind?" the man asked. Sarah stood frozen. "Please help me." "Get in the car and I'll call the police." The man drove to the next available gas station as he called the police. The police were there within minutes, the voices sharp and urgent as they guided her from the man's car into the back of an ambulance. Someone draped a blanket over her shoulder, but she was shivering too hard to feel its warmth. Then she heard a voice she knew. "Sarah?" Steve was suddenly beside her, his hand gentle but steady as he crouched by the car door. "I heard on the radio. Are you hurt?" She couldn't speak. She just shook her head, tears spilling down her face. He climbed into the car beside her, wrapped his arm around her, and held her until the shivering stopped. Back at the house, the officer confirmed what Sarah already knew. Her aunt, her uncle, Betty, Barker, all gone. But Jack, the man whose name was engraved on the bracelet, the man whose footsteps she heard stalking the house, was nowhere to be found. The police suspected Jack, her aunt's ex-lover, the man the family disapproved of, to be the man responsible for this, but all the evidence didn't match him. Sarah came to the conclusion that it was Jack who worked for her uncle. She had a chat with Betty, who Betty told her that this Jack always stared at her in a creepy way. He always almost looked at her like he admired her, almost like he fancied her, almost like he was obsessed with her. That Jack was never found. He disappeared after the incident, never to be seen again. The police said this was the reason why she wasn't one of the victims of his, was because Jack actually liked her and he was enjoying toying with her in a cynical way. As he killed everyone in the house, he likely stayed in the house watching her find bodies after bodies, and the moment which saved her life was when she went outside to find Barker, the man who gave her the bracelet. In that moment, Jack probably came outside with her, and when she came back in and locked the door, Jack couldn't get back in the house as easy as he came out. And so therefore, when he came back in, she was able to hear him this time clearer, and she was able to get away and call the police. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe, and we'll bring you more stories like this. Thank you. If you enjoy listening to this story, I would recommend watching the movie See No Evil, Blind Terror, Honestly, I watched this movie a couple of years ago, and this movie scared the hell out of me. Don't worry if you feel like you listening to this story might have messed up that movie, because I've actually changed the plot, and so therefore you will be watching a new movie if you haven't seen it. So let me know what you think when you watch the movie. And if you've watched the movie, just comment down below what you thought of the movie. And if you enjoyed this story, let me know as well. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.